summary of Wisdom Takes Work, Learn, Apply, Repeat, by Ryan Holiday. Introduction. There is a profound problem at the heart of modern life. We are drowning in information but starving for wisdom. We live in an age where instant reaction, tribalism, and idle chatter are rewarded, while restraint, thoughtfulness, and nuance are unfashionable. We are easily fooled by headlines, appearances, and the primal pull of our own biases. Of all the ancient Stoic virtues, courage, discipline, justice, and wisdom, it is wisdom that remains the most elusive and the one we most desperately lack. In this much-anticipated final installment of his Stoic Virtues series, Ryan Holiday makes the compelling case for the one virtue upon which all others depend. His thesis is that wisdom is not a gift, not something one is born with. It is earned. It is cultivated. It is the hard-won result of a dedicated process to learn, apply, and repeat. Drawing on fascinating stories from the lives of figures like Marcus Aurelius, Montaigne, Seneca, Abraham Lincoln, and Joan Didion, Holiday diagnoses the great problem of our moment and offers a timeless, practical path forward, and we will explore his findings through the course of this summary. Chapter 1. The virtue on which all others depend. Before we can understand how to get wisdom, we must understand why it is the most essential virtue. Holiday argues that wisdom is the mother of virtue, the crowning achievement of a good life. It is the integration of courage, justice, and discipline into right understanding. The Stoics believed these four virtues were inseparable. You could not possess one without the others. But wisdom is the one that guides the rest. It provides the what, when, where, and who for virtuous action. Without wisdom, our best qualities become our worst. This is the central danger that Holiday identifies. Without wisdom, courage becomes mere foolhardiness. Without wisdom, self-discipline can become cruelty, either to ourselves or to others. Without wisdom, our sense of justice can curdle into empty, self-righteous moralizing. This is why Holiday warns that intelligence is not the same as wisdom. He uses cautionary figures, such as Elon Musk, to illustrate how dangerous intelligence, power, and ambition can be when they are untempered by the prudence and perspective that only wisdom provides. Wisdom is the force that gives us perspective. It reveals knowledge and guides our path. It is the ability to see things as they truly are, to understand the world and our place in it, and to act accordingly. While the other virtues tell us how to act, wisdom is the one that tells us what to do. It is the essential, life-changing, and hard-won virtue that makes a meaningful life possible. Chapter 2. Learn. Embrace the lifelong pursuit. The title of the book is Wisdom Takes Work, and the first part of that work is to learn. Wisdom is not innate. It is earned. It must be cultivated through a dedicated process of reading, self-education, and experience. Holiday opens his book with a quote from the philosopher Epicurus: "Let no one be slow to seek wisdom when they are young, nor weary in the search thereof when they have grown old." This, Holiday argues, is the foundational mindset. The work of wisdom is a lifelong pursuit. The wise do not see themselves as masters. They identify as students always. They understand that they are never excused from learning. This process requires, more than anything, a profound sense of humility, the acceptance that you do not know everything, that your own beliefs may be flawed, and that every person and every situation is an opportunity for learning. Holiday draws heavily on the figure of Montaigne, the French philosopher who famously retreated to his library, which he called his citadel. But Montaigne did not hide there. He used his books as a laboratory for understanding the human condition. He believed that everything was designed to serve as an excellent book. Every situation, every flaw, every conversation was a chance to discuss, to debate, to analyze. This is the method of self-education that Holiday champions. It is not about passively consuming information. It is an active, rigorous process. It is about building your own annotated bibliography for life, turning reading into a dialogue with the great minds of the past. It is the willingness to do the hard work of learning from history, from philosophy, and from the lives of others, both ancient and modern. Chapter 3. Question. Think with nuance and change your mind. The second part of the work is to question. This is the internal mental struggle required to cultivate wisdom. It is the antidote to the great problem of our time: tribalism, certainty, and self-righteousness. Holiday defines wisdom as the ability to go through life ready to change your mind. This requires humility and an active willingness to ruthlessly question our own beliefs. The great statespeople and philosophers of the past, Holiday notes, were not fooled by headlines or appearances. Why? Because they knew too much of history, of their own flaws. They were not certain. They were skeptical. They did not react. They reflected. This book champions the idea of thinking with nuance. Holiday uses figures like Abraham Lincoln as an example. Lincoln was renowned for his ability to hold multiple contradictory ideas in his mind at once. He would listen patiently to all sides of an argument, especially to those of his opponents, not to refute them, but to understand them. This ability to see the world in shades of grey rather than in the simple black and white of tribalism is a hallmark of wisdom. This is the work of discernment. It is the process, as Montaigne described it, of passing everything through a sieve. It is the courage to ask, as Montaigne famously did while playing with his cat, "Wait, am I playing with the cat, or is the cat playing with me?" This is not a frivolous question. It is a profound act of questioning one's own perceptions, of challenging the lazy, automatic certainty that is the enemy of wisdom. Chapter 4. Listen. The power of restraint and empathy. The third part of the work is a practical, daily discipline, to listen more than we talk. In our current age, which rewards reaction and idle chatter, the act of choosing restraint becomes a superpower. Holiday argues that while we are busy talking, we are not learning. We are merely performing. Wisdom, by contrast, is acquired in stillness and silence. Listening is how we gather the raw material for wisdom. It is the primary method of self-education. It is how we learn from the experience of others, how we practice empathy, and how we come to understand the world beyond our own limited perspective. Holiday draws on the lives of great thinkers and writers who were, first and foremost, great observers. Figures like Joan Didion or Maya Angelou did not derive their wisdom from proclaiming, but from seeing. They cultivated the stillness required to truly hear what others were saying, and what they weren't saying. The ancient Stoics, like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, wrote about the importance of contemplation. They understood that a mind filled with its own noise has no room for truth. To think with nuance, one must first be quiet enough to hear the nuances. Wisdom requires prudence and thoughtfulness. Both of these are impossible when one is always talking, always reacting, always performing. The work of wisdom is the discipline of closing one's mouth and opening one's mind. Chapter 5. Apply. Deeds over words. Always the final and most crucial part of the work is to apply. The book's subtitle is not just learn, it is learn, apply, repeat. Drawing from the very heart of Stoic philosophy, Holiday argues that wisdom is not an abstract ideal. It is a lived reality. It is deeds over words, always. A philosophy is not something you have, it is something you do. Wisdom must be lived to be real. The true test of wisdom lies in its application to real-world problems and opportunities. It is not enough to read about courage. You must be courageous. It is not enough to understand justice. You must be just. This is the work in Wisdom Takes Work. It is not a flash of insight. It is a daily, steady, relentless practice. It is what Holiday calls the necessity of mental struggle. He explicitly warns against taking shortcuts that deprive us of real knowledge. You cannot simply download wisdom. You cannot get it from a life hack. You must learn from your own experience and your own mistakes. Just as a person becomes strong by lifting weights, just as a woodworker becomes skilled through hours in the shop, we become wise through the same kind of effort. It is the daily, mundane, and essential practice of turning philosophical insight into lived integrity. Final summary. Ryan Holiday's message is that wisdom is not a gift, but a choice and a discipline that must be earned. It is the one virtue that gives us the personal power to see the world clearly and to turn our knowledge into right action. We have the self-determination to engage in this work, to learn, to question, to listen, and to apply. This path allows us to live a virtuous life, guided by perspective and truth. Wisdom is work, but it is the only work that grants us control over our lives and frees us from error and foolhardiness.
Found this summary valuable? Comment with your thoughts. Links are in the description. Thanks for listening.